Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. So I'm continuing on my reviews looking at the movies from the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die book. And today I'll be continuing on looking at Werner Herzog's film Stroszek. This came out in 1977 and stars Bruno S., Eva Mates and Clemens Schultz. The film focuses on Bruno, played by Bruno S. He's an alcoholic man who's recently been released from prison. He's joined by his elderly friend and prostitute in a determined dream to leave Germany and seek a better life in Wisconsin in America. Starting to watch a lot of Werner Herzog's films, I'm starting to see a theme. There's a tragicness to his movies. There's a tragicness to the characters. The expectation they have for things or the pursuing of things or goals never really quite works out for the characters. And there's a tragicness to that and a sadness. And even though his films are quite interesting and realistic in many ways and very about life, there's still something unnerving about them. You know, no matter what happens, they're going to go to kind of a very tragic ending. This is the first one of his films I've seen that's set in a contemporary time and is a simple, basic story. His other films are set in different periods and deal with different things such as vampires and crazy men looking for El Dorado and a variety of other things. But this feels very real and poignant and feels something that's set in a contemporary time period. There's a sort of grittiness to it and this sort of heaviness in a way to the film. There's something about the environments that just feel really gritty and dirty and uncomfortable. And even once they leave Berlin and go to America, it sort of feels that way as well. What I like about the film is the idea that it's sort of these immigrants coming to America seeking a better life not going the way they expect, or thinking that they would become rich or successful quickly there rather than where they came from. And they start to see that no matter where they are, they have to take themselves with them. And they are the self-destructive mechanisms that destroy the person's world and the goals that these characters really are seeking and searching for. The acting's solid here. Bruno Stroszek is kind of a very fascinating actor. Bruno S. as he's known. He was a street musician that Werner sort of found and put in a film in 1974 called Kaspar Hauser. And he was the main. There's something really interesting about him. He's not really an actor conventionally trained, but there's something fascinating about watching him on screen. And he plays his character so well. He plays Bruno like you have moments where he's a street musician and he's getting out of prison and he's trying to seek a better life. And you see the sadness in him, and you see he's not quite educated enough to evolve himself in life, and that he struggles through things and he doesn't understand society or the world too much. And he just wants an escape from the tragic life that he feels he's living. And Bruno's able to portray that in such a beautiful way. And there are moments where he seems to look off camera as if looking to Werner Herzog for direction. And that's kind of interesting. And he has moments where he's just spitting out the dialogue like he's learnt it. But people intercut, but he doesn't take any notice of what they're saying. And he just keeps saying his lines. But he's kind of a really effective character in that regard. You start to really feel for him and the experiences that he's going for. When he gets out of prison, he has expectations that life's going to be better, and then it's kind of really isn't, and he struggles with that. And I think Eva Metz is really great playing Eva. She's a really fascinating actress that sort of is captivating on screen. She plays a prostitute character, and there's a sadness to her as well. And the only person she feels safe around is Bruno. But because being around him, she brings a lot of violence towards both of them because of being a prostitute and the pimps that she's working for. And when this opportunity arises to go to America, to Wisconsin, to start again, to do something different, to live a better life, they both jump at the chance. And there's an interesting interaction between the two, and the chemistry with them on screen is fascinating to watch. Clemens Schultz, who plays an elderly man whose nephew is the one who lives in Wisconsin. He's a fascinating character as well. He's this sort of old man and he plays piano and he wants a better life as well. And he has a tragic end in the film as well. And it's just kind of like these three banding together, seeking a better life and thinking that they will find it in America. And things just don't go away they expect or according to plan. They don't understand the language or the installment plan and paying off something. They don't quite understand that, and then they don't go about it in the proper way, and it causes a lot of heartache and tragedy for them, and ultimately them losing their home. And Bruno's sort of losing his mind and doesn't really know what to do, and he has a really, really tragic ending. In a lot of ways, this film felt similar to movies that Wim Wenders made. You know, Paris, Texas, when they're in America, it kind of feels like that in a different way. And also Jim Jarmusch. It just feels like he's really harnessing their filmmaking styles And it's like he was the beginning of it, but they're all around at the same time. It's just interesting to watch, and it really has that feel. There's just a heaviness to the movie. There's just something about it. You just know when it's going well that something bad's going to happen. And it does, because you can't have characters happy all the time. There has to be some sort of conflict that happens. And Werner is perfectly capable of creating that in a really fascinating and interesting way. I like the darkness and the coldness and the bareness of Berlin. And I like the sort of Wisconsin, when they go there and Bruno sort of becomes this mechanic and he starts wearing a cowboy hat, like trying to fit in, and he feels like he is a sort of cowboy working on the farm. And Eve is sort of working as a waitress, and it's sort of like looking at the American dream in a way, and the toughness of what it is to make a living in America, and how foreigners really want to go there because they see it in movies and they think it's a great place to be, but they don't realize it isn't going to be as easy as they think it is to ultimately make money. And there's this great road trip element to it, which I really like, where, you know, they finally get to America and they buy a car and they go on this journey together, and it's all three of them, and they're excited and looking forward to the future. And then one by one they start to disappear from each other's lives, and then you see the effect that it has on Bruno and the life he expected to live. He doesn't live anymore, and he felt he was better off living in Berlin, even though it was hard, but it was a bit easier for him. It's the first film too of Werner's that really feels like the 70s. Like, he had a great run with a lot of films he made in the 70s, and this is a great example of it, but it just felt really gritty and 70s style, like something like Easy Rider or road trip films in that regard. And I kind of liked that. I liked the aspect of what he was going for here. And it felt like it was personal to him in a way. It was like him himself coming from Germany, going to America where he lives now, and the journey he might have went on and the expectations he might have had when he got to America. That stuff's really fascinating and feels personal for him. I also like the way that foreign filmmakers, just how they look at America and how they find something interesting and unique about it that the people there don't usually find. And I like that. It has an ending that is inevitable for Bruno, which is really sad. You know, it's like he found his place in prison, and when he's let out, he's just lost, and he's just blowing in the wind and not knowing which direction to go. And you really feel for him in the end, and it's a tragic circumstances that he finds himself in. I think this is an interesting film. If you're into Werner Herzog's movies, definitely check this one out if you can get your hands on it. I just think it was an interesting fly-in-the-wall look at these particular people going through difficult times and trying to find a way through it and trying to find ultimately happiness in the end. He's a director I'll return to many times. I look forward to watching as many movies of his as I can. He's become one of my favourite filmmakers, and I really like the stories he wants to tell and how he uses non-actors a lot of time, kind of really bring something authentic and unique to it. And there's a lot of beautiful scenery in Wisconsin where we see the mountains and the trees and just the farms and the places that these characters visit and inhabit is just beautiful to watch. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe at the bottom. Follow me on Facebook. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movie.